Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Sparks of Psalmody. The service this evening is going to feature Jewish music from the Renaissance, and with a particular focus in the composer Psalmody Svcs. But before we get started with all of that, I want to invite actually my mom, who is here from out of town, to come and light the Shabbat candles for us. I'm very fortunate to have my family both from Florida and from Arizona to be here this weekend for Sparks and for the festivities tomorrow as well. So we'll begin with our candle lighting for Shabbat. Amen. Okay. Okay, thank you, Mom. Offering his powers to God, he took from the profane that he might add to the holy, honoring his divine benefactor with the gift he had bestowed upon him. Through this he will leave behind him a name better than children, for he has made a beginning which will not cease, the like of which has never been known in Israel. He has benefited his companions, for now they will sing his music. The above sentiment comes from the foreword written by Rabbi Leon de Modena in the work Hashirim Asher L'Shlomo, a collection of 33 musical compositions by Psalmody Rossi, published in 1623. Rossi, a Jewish-Italian Renaissance composer known in the secular world for creating the trio sonata form, is known in the Jewish world as the earliest composer of Jewish music, whose compositions have survived to this day. Unlike Jewish synagogue chant and singing of its day, Rossi's music is composed in the secular Renaissance madrigal style, which was popular among fellow composers like Palestrina and Monteverdi. Tonight's service will feature mostly Rossi's music, rearranged for the current-day American synagogue, utilizing the musical forces of the cantor, keyboard accompaniment, and choral singers. While some compositions will appear in their original form, others are borrowed from different liturgical settings of Rossi's in order to accommodate the liturgy of our current modern-day service. In addition to Rossi's compositions, we will also experience a sprinkling of additional melodies and settings of other prayers, such as Shalom Aleichem, L'chu Neranena, and the Chatzi Kaddish, that come from other composers and locations throughout the 17th and 18th centuries. So now we will turn to page 5 in the Siddur as we begin by using a 16th century Yiddish folk tune, originally titled Der Heilige Shabbos, whose text and theme is closely related to Shalom Aleichem, and this tune was written in 1727. Page 5. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitechem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In the year 1786, In Siena, Italy, an Italian Jewish family by the name of Gallici funded the building of a new synagogue in the Villa della Scotte. The family's son, Volunio Zevulun Gallici, was an amateur musician and co-composed the score of an inauguration ceremony with non-Jewish composer Francisco Drei. The ceremony, beginning with the processing of the Torah scrolls from the old synagogue to the newly constructed sanctuary, while chanting and singing verses of psalms which include Lechune Ranena, utilizes a melody composed by one or both of the composers and is one that is recognizable as the refrain motif for the Friday night Chatzi Kaddish as we know it today in American synagogues. This melody will be used this evening in its original musical affect and setting as it was written in 1786 for both Lechune Ranena and later on the Chatzi Kaddish. We will now continue with Lechune Ranena on the top of page 11 in the Siddur. Lechune Ranena l'Adonai, Naria letzuri sheinu, nekadem afhanav betodah, bizmirot naria lo. Lechune Ranena l'Adonai, Naria letzuri sheinu, nekadem afhanav betodah, bizmirot naria lo. Psalmody Rossi is thought to have died around 1630. Upon his passing, his Jewish music also died with him. That is until 1876, when the Austrian-born French cantor and composer Samuel Nauenberg published the first modern edition of Rossi's Jewish music. It was this edition that was used as the basis for the 1953 edition of Rossi's music, being compiled into a modern American service by Belarusian-born Philadelphia native Isidor Fried. It is Fried's arrangements of Rossi that will primarily be used in tonight's service. We will now turn to pages 23 through 25 for Lecha Dodi, the setting composed by Rossi and arranged by Fried. We will include the first stanza that's on page 23, the middle stanza that's on page 24, and then the final stanza on page 25. When we reach the final stanza, we will all rise and face the entrance of the sanctuary to formally welcome the Shabbat bride. This will be followed by the Fried arrangement of Rossi's Tzadik HaTamar, the setting of Psalm 92, which will be on page 28. So we'll continue now with Lecha Dodi, pages 23 through 25. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor bedibur echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'litehi Allah. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Page 24. Hit oreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, alaich nigala. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Bottom of 25, please rise and face the entrance. Bo'i v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula bo'i chala toch emunei am segula bo'i chala lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. We'll now continue with Tzadik Katamar, which can be found on page 28. And I am happy to welcome to the Bima one of our singers for this evening, Danielle Cordova, who is going to sing with me Tzadik Katamar, as well as in a couple of other pieces this evening. Page 28. Vata beiteni beshurai bakamim alai mereim tishmana oznai tzadik katamar yifrach ke'erez balevanon yiskeb shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim vera'ananim yiyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai suri velo avlatabo velo avlatabo suri velo avlatabo. Thank you. Before we continue now with the Mariv, the evening service, we will continue with a prayer for the state of Israel. Who is doing that? Okay. Please come on up. We will turn to page 178, and we'll continue in English with the prayer for the state of Israel.
Sovereign of the universe, accept in loving kindness and with favor our prayers for the state of Israel, her government, and all who dwell within her boundaries and under her authority. Open our eyes and our hearts to the wonder of Israel, and strengthen our faith in your power to work redemption in every human soul. Grant us also the fortitude to keep ever before us those ideals upon which the state of Israel was founded. Grant courage, wisdom, and strength to those entrusted with guiding Israel's destiny to do your will. Be with those on whose shoulders Israel's safety depends, and defend them from all harm. Spread over Israel and all the world your shelter of peace, and may the vision of your prophet soon be fulfilled. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
Thank you and Yasher Koach to Amy Stone for leading us in the prayer for the state of Israel. And we will continue now with the Mariv evening service. I invite everyone to please rise on page 43A for the Barchu, and I'm going to invite Danielle back up as well as Ellen Finston, and we will sing together Rossi's setting of the Barchu. Page 43A. Adonai, Hamevorach, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach, Leolam Vaed, Leolam Vaed, Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. We will continue now in English with the first blessing of the Mariv service and Ahavat Olam. Marty? We are on page 40 on the English side.
With timeless love, you have loved your people, the house of Israel. You have taught us Torah and mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai our God, as we lie down and as we rise up, we shall speak of your laws, rejoicing in the words of your Torah and in your mitzvot forever and ever. For they are our life and the fullness of our days, and on them we shall meditate day and night. Do not ever withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people Israel.
Amen. Yashkoach, and thank you, Marty. We'll continue now with the Shema and Ve'ahavta on page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam Beshivtecha beveitecha, uvelechtecha vaderech, uveshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, behayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. We'll continue privately with the second and third paragraphs of the Shema, page 42. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We'll continue now on page 43a, the last 6 lines of the English side with the reading, God brought Israel from its midst, and I believe, no, we're not doing that? What are we doing? Oh, the gift of Shabbat, that's right. 43b, my apologies. This was a last minute change. 43b, the left-hand column, the left-hand margin on 43b, and Beth Stewart, we invite you to come up to lead us in this reading.
The gift of Shabbat. Sovereign of all creation, God Most High, your power is manifest in the destiny of peoples and nations. You delivered Israel from bondage in Egypt, for it is your will that we should be free. You have given us Shabbat to commemorate that freedom, to teach us that no one shall be master and no one a slave. Help us to break every shackle asunder, hastening the day when the strong will be just and the weak will no longer know fear. You, our Creator, are mindful of your handiwork. Your ordinances are all conceived in wisdom. You commanded us to cease from our labor, that we may find joy and peace in Shabbat. For we are not made only to labor, we must rest and reflect, that we may sense your presence. We thank you, our Creator, for the gift of Shabbat, your gift to Israel that blesses all of humanity. Morris and Althea Silverman.
Yashkoach, and thank you, Beth. We will now turn ahead to page 44 at the top of the page, and we'll continue with Micha Mocha. And joining us also will be Judy Sherman with Ellen and Danielle, the full choir version of Rossi. We'll turn the page now to 45 and continue with Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lesham והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים לחיים. Do we have a reader for the English of Hashkivenu? Please join me together, middle of page 45. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ufros aleinu sukkot shel omecha, Baruch atah Adonai. Haporei sukkot shalom aleinu, Haporei sukkot shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. And we'll now continue with Vishamru, followed by Chatzi Kaddish, top of page 46. Please rise. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת vayinafesh. I will continue with Chatzi Kaddish in the middle of the page. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבא מברך לעולם לעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen. We'll continue now with the private silent Amidah for Shabbat that begins on page 47 and concludes on page 52. Ose shalom bimromav hu berachamav ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. We'll continue now with the Friday evening Kiddush. I invite everyone to either please rise or remain standing. We are on page 55. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים. ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. מקדש השבת. And we'll continue with Aleinu, page 56. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שני שמיים יוסד הארץ ומה שבא שמיים יוסד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. At this moment, we will take a minute to remember those in our community who are no longer with us. This Shabbat, we remember Donald Harvey, E. Robert Spiegelman, Philip Friedman, Ray Herman, Robert Katz, Seymour Sudman, and Simshon Gershon. And if there's anybody else you are remembering this evening, please take a moment to remember them in your mind and in your heart, and may their memory be for goodness and for a blessing. We'll continue with Mourner's Kaddish on page 58. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'almad Yivarach Yerutei ve'amlich Malchutei B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmeh almaya Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yitale ve'yithalal Shemei Kudesha B'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. In a few moments, we will conclude this evening's service with Adon Olam, which can be found on page 211, as well as then our postlude that Nancy will play on the piano. But before then, I believe we have some announcements from our new president, Marty Finston.
Thank you, Rabbi. We just have a few announcements tonight. On May 11th, which is tomorrow, right? Okay, tomorrow at morning services, we are going to have a special service and following it a special kiddush honoring Rabbi Chazan Angris on the occasion of his rabbinical ordination. This is going to be special, it's going to be happy, and I hope that everyone can make it. The following Saturday, May 18th, We're going to celebrate our confirmation class during Saturday morning services, and again, there will be a special Kiddush following services. That's next week, Saturday, May 18th. May 31st is another special Shabbat. This May 31st is a Friday evening, and we're going to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. And I think this is going to become a monthly celebration, something new we can all look forward to. There will be a special Oneg Shabbat after services Friday night, May 31st. June 7th is Volunteer Shabbat, and that's another Friday evening, and there will again be a special Oneg Shabbat after services. Please make it, if you can, to honor all of our volunteers without whom this synagogue could not survive. And finally, June 11th to 13th is the holiday of Shavuot, and there's going to be a special outdoor observance with a campout. So if you would like to celebrate and worship in the outdoors, please mark your calendar for June 11th to 13th. That's all I have. Are there any other announcements that you'd like me to announce from the pulpit? If not, then let me return the service back to Rabbi Angris.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Marty, and may I say also a mazel tov to you on assuming the presidency, and also a mazel tov to Harvey for your retirement, so to say, from the presidency as well. Before we actually conclude with Adon Olam, I also want to thank those who participated in the service this evening, Amy Stone, Marty Sherman, and Beth Stewart for helping out with the English readings, and my mom for lighting candles, as well as our accompanist, Nancy Granard. Nancy, thank you so much, and of course, we're always happy to have you here. Danielle Cordova, and of course, Ellen Finston and Judy Sherman. So with that, just want to share one last tidbit about Rossi and the Adon Olam that we're doing. Within Rossi's 33 original settings of the liturgy, he composed two different versions, two different settings of the Kaddish. One setting was for 3 voices, which is where the Oseh Shalom came from, and the other was for 5 voices, being the most popular. Samuel Naumberg, that I mentioned earlier, took the music from the 5-voice Kaddish and set it to Adon Olam, because the original was for actually 16 voices, from which Fried wrote his arrangement. So it is this arrangement from the 5-voice version, put down to 4, that we will be using to conclude with Adon Olam this evening. Following Adon Olam will be our postlude that Nancy will play on the piano, which is based on a different Adon Olam melody that came from Casale Monferrato in northern Italy in the 1730s. And so with that, we'll turn to page 211, and we'll conclude with Adon Olam. I invite Judy and Ellen and Danielle back to the bima.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Na'asa V'chefso Kol Asai Melech Shemo Nikra Son ve'ira. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Please join us downstairs for our dessert reception.